isn't it? You know, I'm going to serve God my way and you serve him your. If you're going to serve him your way, then you are walking after your own thoughts. You're not walking after the word of God. Go ahead and continue to read.
A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face.
Go ahead.
That sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick.
Now these gardens, you know, these are talking about places of pagan worship. Go ahead and read on.
Which remain among the graves.
And they remain among the grave. What grave? Spiritual graves. The book tells you those that wander out of the way of understanding shall dwell with the dead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read on.
And lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh.
Look what they do. He said they eat swine's flesh. Now God said don't eat the stuff that you may be holy, but you got these people, they going to eat it anyway and say they holy. Go ahead and continue to read.
And broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
See what they said? They eat swine flesh and a broth of abominable things that are in their vessels. You know, they done stirred up a whole lot of other abominable stuff too. And throw it in the pot. You know how they do in New Orleans. They, I don't mean to offend anybody if they from New Orleans, but you know how it go. You know, because they put everything in there unclean. You know, because you got what they call the stuff, gumbo or whatever it is.
Gumbo.
Anything that anything that is unclean, it is in there. Go ahead and read.
Verse 5.
Go ahead.
Which say, stand by thyself.
See what they said? They said, stand by yourself. Get back from me now. These are the people that's eating this stuff. They eat swine flesh and a broth of abominable things are in their vessel. And they say they holy. And they said, get back. You done ran into them. I'll tell you what. Find you one of them holy road to church tomorrow and go in there and see, don't they tell you, get back from me, I'm holy now. But then as soon as the preacher get through lying, you can go in the basement and buy a pork chop done. Go ahead and read.
Come not near to me.
He said, get back now. And don't come near me. Go ahead and read.
For I am holier than thou.
You see what he said? For I am holier than thou. What verse up?
Verse 5.
Go ahead and read it.
These are smoke in my nose.
See what the Lord said? These people irritate me. He said they are smoke in my nose. Go ahead and read.
A fire that burneth all the day.
Go ahead.
Behold, it is written before me. I will not keep silence.
Go ahead.
But will recompense, even recompense into their bosom.
Go ahead.
Your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers.
Now, Lord, so I'm going to recompense, even recompense in their bosom. You know when the Lord going to recompense, even recompense in their bosom? He going to do that at his coming, and we're going to read it in this next chapter when we go into chapter 66. Go ahead and finish that verse first.
Your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith the Lord, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former works into their bosom.
Now let's go into Isaiah chapter 66, and we'll begin at verse 15, and this will be last. 66 and 15. Go ahead and read.
For behold, the Lord would come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Now you know who this Lord is that's going to come. If you just need to know without me telling you, go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, and it will let you know this is Jesus. The same one that they said nailed the dietary law to the cross. This is him right here at his coming. Even though it's written in the Old Testament, this is him at his coming. He said, behold, the Lord will come with fire and with chariots and with a whirlwind to render anger and fury and rebuke with flames of fire. Go ahead and read on.
For by fire and by his sword would the Lord plead with all flesh.
Now, when the Lord come pleading this time, ain't going to be none of that begging kind of pleading. It is the fire and with the sword that he going to do the pleading with this time. Go ahead and read on.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many.
And notice, this is Jesus that you're reading about here. Make no mistake about it. 2 Thessalonians 1st chapter makes it very clear. This is Jesus that you're reading about. And he said, the slain of the Lord in that day shall be many. Go ahead and read on.
They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens.
See what it said? They have sanctified themselves and they have purified themselves in the garden. In these pagan shrines, in other words. Go ahead and read on.
Behind one tree in the midst.
He said, behind one tree in the midst. Go ahead and read.
Eating swine's flesh.
Eating swine's flesh, he said. So apparently he's going to deal on them people that's eating swine flesh. So don't think that it is all right for you to eat it. You know, and God ain't going to deal with you. At the appointed time, he's going to deal with you. Go ahead and continue reading.
And the abomination.
He said, and the swine flesh and the abomination. Go ahead and read.
And the mouse.
And the mouse. Go ahead and read.
Shall be consumed together, saith the Lord.
And the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. Now you have it. You have a dietary law. And the reason I like to do this lesson around this time or around the time of the feast is that to make certain everybody understand that you ought to deal with the dietary law. So if you are going to partake in the feast, when you show up, especially if you are going to prepare a dish, make sure you don't prepare anything that is unclean or prepare your dish in anything that something unclean was prepared in. I just want to make certain that you understand that. And for the people that might be unclean, for any of those reasons that we read about the uncleanliness, we ask that you don't prepare a dish, but do show up for the feast. Thank you, and I hope you learned something from this lesson.